It looks like the Giant Killer, he'll have to slay the G-Men in a different uniform this season after Philadelphia all but made it official that Boston Scott isn't returning, but they also dropped a major hint at their plans at linebacker with another move yesterday. Plus, Brock Bowers' name has been floated around a bunch in Philadelphia. Would another tight end make sense in Kellen Moore's offense? And Patrick Surtain, the trade that hasn't happened and probably won't happen unless you believe a new report that the Broncos are desperate to move up in the draft and they could use Patrick Surtain as bait. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. All right, we talked about it on the live show last night, but the Eagles did make some quote-unquote moves yesterday that don't necessarily guarantee anything, but you tell me if the Eagles giving Boston Scott's number 35 to running back Tyrion Davis-Price is essentially a guarantee that the Giant Killer won't be back in Midnight Green in 2024. I mean, why would they give away his number if they weren't already planning on re-signing the unrestricted free agent? And honestly, like you, I'm torn here. Like, when you think Boston Scott, you think someone who worked his butt off to become a Philadelphia Eagle, undrafted free agent, and had some really incredible games, even games that weren't against the Giants when he was so-called, aptly named, the Giant Killer. But at the same time, they hardly used him last year, and with new additions this season, was he ever going to get the football? I mean, he only got 20 carries last season, and that's when Kenny Gainwell wasn't anything special, and they didn't even use Rashad Penny. I mean, he really was RB3, and RB3 in that offense only got 20 carries. Now, throw in the fact that the Eagles spent $15 million a year on Saquon Barkley, and even if you wanted to keep Scott on a very cheap $1 to $3 million a year deal, would you really want him taking carries away from Barkley? In my opinion, this season, if Barkley isn't getting 80%, I mean, at least 80, 75% of the carries with Gainwell cleaning up the rest, then why did you give so much money to Saquon in the first place? I think the best thing for us to do is wish the Giant Killer best of luck and hope he goes somewhere, hopefully in the NFC, AFC, doesn't really matter, but somewhere where he can play the Giants. Maybe go to the Commanders. You beat the Giants twice a year and help Philadelphia out. Either way, Boston, we appreciate you. Best of luck going forward. By the way, if you want to use the jersey number logic, looks like Zach Cunningham, he's not going to be coming back. Julian Okwara will don the number 52. I think is a good thing for Philadelphia. I think they draft somebody who should be fantastic, but you also have Devin White, who, let's be real, a lot of Eagle fans are split on him. I'm pumped to see if he can get back to form in Midnight Green. Oh, and because I know you care, Kenny Pickett's going to wear number 7, so for everyone who bought a Hassan Reddick jersey and thought about just throwing it away, you can actually change it to a Pickett one if you want to do a little fancy stitching at your local seamstress, and you can have kind of a useless jersey turn into a slightly less useless jersey, and rock our backup quarterback if that's what you really want to do. Now, speaking of uniforms, according to Tom Pelissero yesterday, the NFL informed clubs today it has revised the uniform policy to allow teams a third helmet design per source. This expansion was offered to the teams that were going through redesign process for the 2024 season and is now open to all clubs for the 2025 season, which of course basically means the Eagles will now get to choose between their usual Midnight Green helmets, their incredible Kelly Green helmets, and of course the black helmets they wore during the 2022 season. Again, a small thing, but for uniform combination people like myself who think Philadelphia biasly has some of the best uniforms in the entire league, the black helmets, maybe with the white jerseys or even white pants, green jersey, black helmets, it'll all look very, very good when you can officially use all three. Okay, one thing you guys know about me is that I'm always honest about the sponsors for some of my videos, and so when Keeps reached out to me and said, Thomas, let's talk about you losing your hair, I kind of went, guys, I'm not losing my hair. Like, I have a very nice, very lush, full head of hair. But after a quick Google search, I realized that almost 2/3 of American men will have some degree of hair loss by 50. And while Keep sent me a couple of stuff to help keep my hair as lush and long as it is right now, for those of you guys who are actually losing your hair, they have plenty for you as well. Now, getting started is really simple. Like, all you gotta do is fill out a super easy online consultation where you detail your hair loss journey, and then Keeps creates a personalized treatment plan specifically formulated to address your unique needs, and they ship it right to your door. Now, Keeps sent me their thickening shampoo, they sent me their thickening conditioner, and they also sent me my personal favorite, their thickening pomade. And all these products are designed to work together and enhance your results by making your thinning hair look a whole lot thicker. They have a special formula designed by hair loss experts that supports healthy hair growth with science-backed ingredients like biotin, caffeine, and green tea. Thanks to Keeps for sponsoring today's video and sending over a bunch of free products. Remember, hair loss, it starts with Keeps, and for a special offer, go to keeps.com/Thomas Mott down below in my description box. That's KEEPS.com/Thomas Mott today. Now, Philadelphia's made another free agent signing, and that is tight end CJ Uzomah coming in to be maybe the backup tight end to Dallas Goedert. Now, Uzomah is famously a Cincinnati Bengal, at least he was for 7 seasons, where he had 49 receptions, 493 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 2021. But he did spend the past 2 seasons with the New York Jets, and can we really knock his numbers from 2023, where he only had 8 catches for 58 yards when his quarterback was Zach Wilson? Overall, I think it's a fine move. Philadelphia likes depth at the tight end spot, and you get more of a pass catcher versus what you have behind Dallas Goedert right now. Although, as we all need to really understand, Dallas Goedert is your tight end 1, and Uzomah is going to be a backup in case of injury, but also potentially a 12 personnel option if Kellen Moore wants to run more 2 tight end looks. Now, of course, this happens right after I film the next portion of today's show, and that really goes into Brock Bowers and the idea of Philadelphia trading up in the draft to go ahead and grab him, which has popped up in a couple of mock drafts, although, as you'll see, especially with the Uzomah signing now, I'm kind of out on the UGA tight end. And while the Georgia tight end is considered the best tight end prospect in maybe draft history, I just can't understand why so many of you guys want this pick. Like, how does it make sense? First off, you got to trade up for him. Every single mock draft, every single expert thinks he goes somewhere in the teens. And so if you want to stay put at 22, Bowers is not going to fall to you because there are tight end needy teams ahead of Philadelphia. And so right off the bat, you're giving extra draft capital to go up and get a tight end. And then you got to fit him into this offense. Like, how many touches will Brock Bowers actually be able to get? First off, Goedert, he's under contract for the next 2 seasons. So at best, you're waiting for Bowers to take over 3 years from now. So for the first 2 seasons with a first-round draft pick, you got to get him behind A.J. Brown, give more touches to Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and now Saquon Barkley. Like, the hierarchy of touches puts him, 5th in the Eagles offense? And now, sure, would he make the Eagles offense better? Yes, there are a ton of players in the first round who would make the Eagles offense better, but does the Eagles offense need to be that much better? You have a top 5 offensive line, top 3 running back, you have probably the best wide receiver duo in the league. Dallas Goedert is a top 3 tight end when both healthy and they actually decide to throw him the football. I just don't see why you wouldn't spend that first-round draft pick on a defensive player on a football team that is in win-now mode, and you want your first-round draft pick to play right away, and so getting Bowers, again, just doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, I think the Athletic Shai Kapati, sorry if I butchered your name, was on WIP yesterday, and he made a very good point about the history of first-round tight ends, especially the recent history.
Here's the thing with tight end. If you look at it, there are certain positions that the NFL just does not evaluate well. I was just looking at this yesterday. Last 10 years, there's been 9 tight ends taken in the first round. Those guys have combined for 0 all-pro selections and 1 1,000-yard season. Every year we look at these tight ends in the first round. We say, no, this guy's different. He's got these tools. He's a mismatch problem. And then the guy doesn't pan out. I mean, look at the best tight ends in the NFL. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert. I mean, you go on. These guys were not first-round picks. And so to me, I would be hesitant about saying, you know what, we've identified the exception. This guy's going to be awesome. And I like Brock Bowers. I watch what everyone else watches, what you mentioned. He breaks a lot of tackles. He looks like he can really help you in the middle of the field. But I would be pretty hesitant about being overconfident that, no, we know the tight end that's going to be awesome because the NFL has just had a really hard time scouting that position.
What do you guys think? Would you be interested in Brock Bowers? Again, I've seen a lot of comments. I'm sure I'm going to see a lot today saying, no, I don't want him. But if you're one of the ones that wants Brock Bowers, let me know down below and explain why. Like, counterpoint my arguments. Like, I'm very curious to see your thoughts on Brock Bowers. I'm going to read the comments. Let me know down below. Now, I know we talked a ton about the possibility of trading for Patrick Surtain, especially a couple of weeks ago, kind of right around whenever free agency went ahead and started, but obviously to no avail because number 2 has remained on Denver for the time being. However, a new report from Paul Allen on KFan 103 in Minnesota seems to indicate a shift in focus for the Broncos, who are, quote, so desperate. I'm not kidding you, man. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, we want that 3 so badly, we would give you pick 12, we give you next year's first rounder, and we give you Patrick Surtain. I'm not kidding you. They are that desperate. Now, of course, other reporters like Benjamin Albright, a Denver Broncos reporter who I've cited many times on the show, has said time and time again they're not trading away Patrick Surtain. But that was, of course, before this whole idea that Denver is desperate for a quarterback, and man, the one that keep popping up is J.J. McCarthy. And so the speculation begins with mock trades being thrown up about how Philadelphia could try and swoop in for Surtain with the Fangio connection, where this Broncos website proposed Philadelphia giving up both of their second-round draft picks this year and a second in 2025 for the star safety, which would then provide Denver with more ammo to try to move up to get the quarterback of their dreams. And just looking at this trade alone, I would do it. Like, 3 second-round draft picks is a ton. It's not anything to go ahead and just go, oh, 3 seconds, go ahead and just give that away. But when you get Patrick Surtain back, a generational cornerback who instantly makes the secondary top 5, I think him, Gardner Johnson, Slay would be much, much better. Keeping that first-round draft pick, still being able to use it on a pass rusher and offensive tackle, and still getting Surtain, even though you give up the second next year, I think would be well worth it. Of course, you got to have 2 to tango, and so Denver has to actually agree to a trade, and just because the Eagles would want him and could give you multiple second-round draft picks doesn't mean Denver would take it. For instance, they could go to the Cardinals at number 4 and say, hey, we'll give you our number 12 overall draft pick, we'll give you Surtain as well, and the Cardinals get a player who's ready to play right away. The only problem with that is a lot of these teams who are high up, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or 5, don't really need a win-now player like a Patrick Surtain. Like, Surtain is the final piece to a Super Bowl caliber defense. And if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you need draft picks. And so wouldn't you rather have 3 second-round draft picks plus Denver's first-round draft pick this year and next year instead of getting Surtain? You can see how it's interesting to speculate. Again, I'm not saying a Surtain trade is going to happen. I'm not saying that there's a brand new report saying Adam Schefter is linking Surtain to Philadelphia. I'm merely looking at this new report basically saying the Broncos are desperate to trade up. They're willing to include Patrick Surtain, and if Philadelphia and Howie Roseman could find a way to get in here and give the draft picks the Denver Broncos want and need to make a trade up for quarterback, then we could at least dream about the pipe dream of bringing Surtain to Philadelphia. Again, the odds of this happening, I'd say less than 5%. Plus, Philadelphia could just trade up for Quinyon Mitchell, who could be better. You never know, because he's a draft pick versus a proven commodity, but still, Surtain is a name that gets people fired up in Philadelphia, and so when new reports come out, we at least have to talk about him. And we got plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, including a very interesting interview happening this weekend. Be sure to subscribe for that. It's a name that you're definitely going to recognize, one of the top reporters for the Philadelphia Eagles. Stay tuned for that. Very excited for it. I'm Thomas Mott on a Thursday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.